Well, good morning, everyone. It's great to be back with YourTV for another update for the city of Belleville as we deal with COVID-19 in our community. And this update is for the week of July the 19th. And we started off the week with a little bit of a bump in, we had 6 new cases. While 1 was in Belleville, the other 5 were in the other parts of Hastings and Prince Edward's Health Unit region. But that brings us to 11 active cases. So, it's a reminder about how we have to continue to be vigilant, make sure we wash our hands, wear a mask, watch our distance, and also to make sure that we get our vaccinations as soon as we can. And I'll speak about that in a moment. But of those 11 active cases in the region, we have 1 person in hospital, and they are actually in the intensive care unit. So it's a serious illness, and we still have to be very, very careful. Since the very beginning of COVID back in March of 2019, or sorry, 2020, we've had 1,144 cases. And during that same time, we've also had 159,235 tests administered. And that's important because those 1,144 cases were determined because of testing. And I really do believe that our testing and our follow-up contact tracing has been so important when it comes to controlling the spread in our region. The really, really good news is that we're now almost at 120,000 residents. So 119,100 residents have gotten their first dose of vaccines. That's an 80% rate, which is excellent. And 86,219 residents have got their second dose, which is 58%. And that's out of a total population in the health unit region of 149,606. So that's great work and great news. In Belleville at the Quinte Sports and Wellness Center, they are now doing walk-ins. So you don't have to have a booking, you don't have to have an appointment. All you need is your health card, and you can walk in and get your first or second dose. We will really be happy. It's interesting because each dose is a single. So when you talk about having 86,000 people with their second dose, that means that's really like 160,000 doses administered. But we have had almost 200,000 individual doses administered locally, and that includes 169,950 to residents of Hastings and Prince Edward region. But we've also had people who don't live in, or who aren't in Belleville, or live in Belleville, or in our health unit, went to another region and got 34,000 of them got their dose somewhere else. So those are terrific numbers for us. And again, it's great work on the behalf of the health unit and everybody else. So thanks for all of that. And I'd encourage you to go to the health unit website to look at these statistics if you want to be able to keep track of it and see where we're at. So there's some very, very good news. The weather has been very, very warm recently, and so that's allowed the city of Belleville to activate our cooling centers. And our cooling centers operate at the Quinte Sports and Wellness Center, as well as the Belleville Public Library. At the Quinte Sports and Wellness Center, they run from 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. And at the Belleville Public Library, they run from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. on Monday to Thursday. And then on Fridays, Saturdays, they run from 11 to 5. And those are activated when the temperature has 2 consecutive days of over 30 degrees Celsius or 35 degrees Celsius with the humidex. So on July the 19th and the 20th, we activated those centers for that. So if you don't have air conditioning, or if you need a break from that, you're welcome to use those 2 facilities. We have security staff on site there to assist, as well as registration is required in the questionnaires. On top of that, if you don't want to go necessarily to the cooling center, but you have particularly children who are really finding it hot, our splash pads, of course, are open, and I just remind people to use them. They're open at Riverside Park, Parkdale Park, and the Kinsmen Park. And in addition, we also have our Kinsmen outdoor pool that's open, and it's quite refreshing. So since my last update last week, we moved into step 3. And step 3 in Ontario has allowed for further relaxations. That happened on Friday last week. Pretty much all remaining retail stores or businesses have been allowed to reopen now. That includes things like the casino and movie theaters and music theaters and concert venues. There still are restrictions in terms of numbers of people, so the capacity limits are still in place. But that has been great news, including for the 130 jobs that will be back at the Shorelines Casino here in Belleville. But we also have had our restaurants are now allowed to have dine-in, so you don't have to just have outdoor dining. You can be inside, and there's increased capacity in all the other businesses that were previously allowed to open. Everything from essential services like grocery stores to retail stores. So that is good, and I hope everybody continues to enjoy those relaxations. I ask you to be responsible, and I've heard some really good reports from people who are working in the service sector in particular, that people have been pretty kind. And so again, it's been a tough road for all of us, but particularly those businesses that had to be closed. They've had to rehire employees now as they were able to reopen, and they're also having difficulty getting stock, things to sell. So it's not their fault, and if we're all really kind, it can go a lot further. And so we encourage people just to keep that up. Earlier this week on Monday, Alexicon Energy had an open house for their new facility at 400 Coleman Street. Alexicon Energy used to have their they used to have the building where the new police station has been located. And when we moved to start that construction, that project, Alexicon relocated within some city facilities. But now it's time for them to have their own building where they can house their equipment and their vehicles as well as their staff. And on Monday, July the 19th, they had an open house for the residents in the area so they could see the plans for the building. Our manager of policy and planning, Desta McAdam, was there, and they're expecting to have that project started this year, but it'll be completed and open by the end of 2022. So that's great news. Also, I have a couple things to sort of finish off today's update on, just some heads up about something that will be happening in the future. Some great news. World's Finest Midway, the people that have provided the rides and the amusements for the Belleville Fair as well as the Waterfront Festival for many, many years. They are able to start their operations for 6 locations in Southern Ontario, and Belleville will be one of them. And they will be operating their Midway likely at the West Zwicks property from August the 20th to the 29th. So, I know a lot of kids missed being able to go on the rides and play the games and have some of the food, but they will be back this year. So they're working really hard in a safe, COVID-friendly environment, and that'll be August 20th to 29th. And more details will be coming. And I want to thank the Belleville Chamber of Commerce for all the work on that. And the other thing I wanted is to give a little bit of a heads up about is Porchfest will be back as well. And Porchfest is an activity that the Chamber now, the Rotary Club of Belleville now is sort of the lead sponsor on it. And it is in East Hill where people have, they play music from their porches. And residents and visitors can walk through the neighborhood and choose what they want to listen to, and it's really great. There are, there were dozens of homes that were hosts to Porchfest musicians in 2019, and we missed it in 2020 because of COVID. So they're back this year, and that'll run on Saturday, September the 25th. So it runs from about noon until later in the afternoon. I want to thank all the volunteers, particularly Sam Brady, for doing all that work to get them back in. And in 2019, it rained a little bit. So hopefully the weather will be really good for us this year, and we'll enjoy another return to normalcy as we get through these COVID-19 times. So that's my update for this week. I want to thank YourTV again for this opportunity to provide an update for residents in the city of Belleville. If you have any questions or any comments, or myself or any members of council, we're always available, and you can get a hold of us through our City of Belleville website. And there's also a COVID-19 page with updates and information about what the city's been doing and what facilities are reopening and how everything is going. So I encourage you to go there for information. And most importantly, enjoy the new relaxations as we go into step 3, but still be careful. Again, follow those 3 W's: wear a mask, watch your distance, and wash your hands. And when, as soon as you can, if you haven't already, get your vaccine so that we can get back to normal later on this summer and the fall, and put COVID-19 behind us. So with that, all the best, and we'll see you next week.